State of Affairs is pleased to welcome for the first time Anjalee Khemlani, who is managing editor of an organization, of an entity, of a platform called ROI-NJ, which is?
A statewide business news site.
And by the way, check it out, folks. We're doing a lot of interactive work with them. I can't tell you how much great information we get from the site. Question. You've been doing a lot of work talking about, writing about the innovation economy. What is it in New Jersey and why does it matter so much?
Well, I think we have to ask the governor more about that, but the innovation economy...
When you're writing about it, what's the hook that interests you?
Well, I think it's interesting to see how we're looking at the purpose of business differently and the organization of business differently, whether it's looking at the way that they sit together in terms of in one building and, you know, rather than these big office parks, there's a push to this sort of urban mixed use structure. And then there's also the idea of a lot smaller space. So while there are still big companies out there and ones that, you know, the ones that want to grow to that level, there's a lot more focus on smaller level space leasing, shared spaces and stuff like that.
The other thing that's interesting is I read your work. And by the way, check out the website. You see the RO website. Check out Anjalee's work and her colleagues as well. This whole thing of tech clusters, North, Central, and South Jersey, are there tech clusters in all? By the way, I don't even know. There's Stephen Colbert did a thing on whether there's a Central Jersey or not. I haven't figured it out or not. I know we're a big state and we're a long state.
Yep.
These tech clusters are?
So they're sort of forming organically. From what we can tell, there are certain hubs, if you will, just they're coming together, the ones that have similar interests. So for example, there's a strong fintech presence in northern Jersey, whether you look at Newark, where they're kind of inching to. Fintech, financial technology.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anjalee, you can't do that to us. That's your work. Okay, financial.
Technology.
Got it, go ahead.
So there's...
I'm going to use fintech on someone else,
yeah,
but go ahead.
You'll sound cool.
Yeah.
So
oh, thanks. It's going to take more than that, but go ahead.
So there's a fintech hub sort of forming in northern Jersey. Then you have the sort of Holmdel area that people are looking at, but there's also simultaneously a long-standing pharma and bio and life science industry in the central Jersey area, where you look more at the Bridgewater, Somerset, that area, or New Brunswick, where J&J is.
Sure.
So there, that cluster has existed for a very long time. I think it used to be a little bit more spread out throughout the state, but we're starting to see a really strong presence there. And then when you go to South Jersey, there is that hope of that aviation tech park coming to light.
Yeah,
so,
explain that to folks. By the way, if you're listening on the radio side, this is Anjalee Khemlani, managing editor of ROI-NJ. Explain to folks, getting a little inside here, what is it and why does it matter so much to the economy there?
So the Aviation Tech Park is something that has been in the works for more than a decade. We've had congressman after congressman trying to lobby for funding to go into it.
Does that include Frank Lobiando and others down there?
Actually, Congressman Lobiando was one of the key people, right. As well as at the state level, we had Senator Whalen, who really pushed.
The late Jim Whalen,
absolutely.
who represented the Atlantic City area. Go ahead.
So the idea was to initially focus on what's called next-gen technology. So it's like a different technology used for the routing of airlines and air transportation and air traffic. So that used to be the focus. That was initially the call to attention to that area around the Atlantic City airport that has been undeveloped for a very long time. There is the FAA site there, and there's land around it. And so what they've been doing is been trying to develop it. Whether they started initially with the infrastructure and the routing, so you've seen roads to just empty grass for a very long time. And now they're finally developing it into what looks like a really robust area with a lot of air and space like technology companies coming in there with some interest.
Anjalee, I'm curious about something. What makes looking at the economy in this state and the dramatic, fast-paced, changing economy in this state so fascinating to you?
It's interesting to me how the companies play in the regions when it comes to working with the local government, the municipal government. That's one of the most interesting things to me, is because New Jersey is very unique that way, in that there's a lot of power at the municipal level to really coordinate or make
zoning issues, planning
issues, even just
tax abatements, et cetera,
programs. Absolutely, the relationship is so strong, and I don't know that you can find that in many other places the same way.
You think that's somewhat unique to New Jersey?
I do. I really do. I think that there's different power structures where the county or state play more of an important role in some other states.
Yeah.
And I think that in New Jersey, we still have a lot of power at the local level.
You know, I was checking out ROI online the other day, and I realized you've done a fair amount of work writing about Camden.
I have recently, yes.
Tell us why it matters.
Well,
Why Camden matters, and you're writing about it matters.
Camden is an interesting story because there's been a lot of political power behind pushing it to where it is and to getting the attention on it, to reviving it, to creating this Camden renaissance. And I think that behind all that, you don't hear the story of how it's getting there.
Why does that matter?
Well, because every success story has its struggles, right? You have to fail in order to succeed.
Do you want to understand and help people understand why things happen, why they didn't happen, and what it really means?
So what happened, and so I wrote a recent article on this actually about the businesses down there and the struggle that they're having in finding local employees. And it created this whole discussion about whether or not local means the entire swath of the population.
Tell folks what you really meant.
What not I, but what the CEO of Holtec really meant was that there are certain parts of the population where it's very hard to find people and to get them to come to work and follow a regular work schedule. And the tell that he wasn't wrong is that the entire business community has been silent. At the local level, the small business community has been pretty vocal, but when you talk about the business leaders, they've all been very quiet about the whole issue and have had private conversations saying he wasn't wrong. He said it the wrong way, but he wasn't wrong.
Okay, but so we can take something meaningful away from this. What is the moral, the lesson of that?
To make sure that you know what kind of an area you're moving into first. Work with the local community so that you don't have this sort of resistance and this struggle to figure out who your workforce is.
But respectfully, sorry for interrupting.
Yeah.
Anjalee, isn't also about the need to train, retrain, and get folks ready to take on the jobs in the economy and the community that they live in?
And it depends on who you talk to. Talk to the business community and they ask, why should that be our burden? Why is that not the...
That's your workforce.
But is it though?
Is it anyone? Is it government's role individually? Is it the individuals? Is it the corporate? It's all of it.
Is it education's role?
Absolutely.
So whose role is it? And why weren't conversations had where everyone came to the table beforehand? That's the key.
How dare you ask that question? Anjalee Khemlani is managing editor of a terrific platform with great information, important information every day called ROI-NJ. It's a print publication, comes out, I believe, every 2 weeks, and also online. Check it out on a regular basis. Anjalee, thank you so much. Don't be a stranger on State of Affairs.
Appreciate it.
We'll be right back right after this. I'm Steve Adubato.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Agnes Veris NJTV studio at 2 Gateway. Funding has been provided by PSC&G, NJIT, Suez, St. Joseph's Health, the Nicholson Foundation, supporting right from the start NJ, Summit Medical Group, and by the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey. Promotional support provided by AM 970 The Answer, and by Insider NJ.